Hi everyone, welcome back. Yeah, you can see all of these hard-earned medals around my neck, and yep, you're counting them right. It's 4, because your boy just ran a half marathon yesterday, Saturday, April 29, and guess what? Your boy did a sub-2-hour half marathon, baby. 1 hour, 55 minutes, and 1 second. Yep. I'll give you some time so that you can clap for me. Thank you. Thank you. But yeah, your boy did it. He's part of the sub-2-hour half marathon club. And I'm honestly very proud of it. But I'm going to take these medals off my neck because they're very heavy and noisy. And then we'll jump right into the episode, okay? All right. What's up? Welcome to the Pretty Decent Podcast, the podcast that barely meets expectations. My name is Javier, and I'll be your host. So relax, grab some snacks, and enjoy. All right. Now let's get to the episode. Now it's a lot better. Welcome back, everyone. Pretty Decent, episode 60. Wow. Honestly, I gotta start off by saying thank you, because 60 episodes is a big milestone. Your boy is officially, well, the podcast is officially, what do you call it here in America? I know back home we call it tercera edad. I don't know what the word is for in English, but anyway, yeah, 60 episodes in. Today is April 30th, so this will probably come out, I don't know, May 2nd. But yeah, your boy did it. Another half marathon, this time under 2 hours. And honestly, I gotta be honest, it wasn't in my plans to do a sub-2-hour half marathon, let alone run it yesterday. It was very last minute, but yeah, I did it. I'll get more into it in a bit, but I want to start off by saying, if you're watching it on YouTube, subscribe, turn on that bell notification, leave a comment. If you're watching it on Spotify, follow the podcast on Spotify, follow your boy on Spotify, follow the podcast on Instagram. And yeah, it was a very, very, very entertaining weekend, to say the least. Obviously, with the race and everything, I've talked about a few races already in the podcast, and that it's very, very stressful with all the logistics and everything, because for all 4 races that I've done, the 3 halves and the full marathon, they've all required me leaving my house, so sleeping somewhere else the night before the race. And that's something that I find very stressful, because not in the sense of like, I don't know what not in the sense of, but it's stressful in the sense of that I'm not staying in my house, so there's a lot of things that I can't control. And this is the first time that transportation is provided by me. So that was a big upside, because that took off a lot of stress from me. Because I remember the first half that I did transportation, I had to take a shuttle from one of the stops that the race had set up to make it to Southside Chicago. The second half, we walked from the hotel to the starting line, which honestly, that was pretty fine. And then the marathon, I had to drive with my cousin, which that was also fine, because it was like just a few minutes. But always like just the logistics of races and stuff like that, that's something that always stresses me out. So I guess this one was like kind of nice in the sense that it was pretty much just like right around the corner. not really, but from where I live. And yeah, I think I mentioned in last week's episode that how all of this came about, right? With the beer mile and, talking to coworkers and stuff. And just this whole weekend in general was very, very eventful. Like, okay, also disclaimer, if you hear like cycles and stuff like that, I'm doing my laundry because it's 10 p.m. and I made it home at, I don't know, like 6 p.m. and I hadn't done laundry obviously because I was out of my house. So I'm sorry, and I want to get this episode while it's still fresh in my head. So yeah, I'm sorry about that. Just ignore it and focus on your boy. I'm looking good. I'm feeling good. It was honestly one of the most memorable weekends that I've had in a while. Considering how much the world has just decided to, screw me over in 2023. But yeah, so this weekend started off with me being a motivational speaker, a keynote speaker, and like, I've never considered myself someone to be a motivational person. I mean, yeah, like in the podcast, I sometimes share like what I go through and all that stuff. And, to some people that might be motivational, but I don't do it with the purpose of like, oh, I'm a motivational speaker and like, I'm here to change your life and give you like the tips to what you should do and blah, 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 blah. Like, I just share my point of view of the stuff that I go through and like how I handle stuff. Because I feel like there's like just a misconception with like, whenever like someone has a platform, and obviously, having a podcast means that I have a platform. There's always like this, I keep forgetting the word, but pretty much like people ask for your advice expecting the same results when that's not true. And like, that's why like whenever like people ask me about what they can do with running and like, if they want to start doing something different, because not everything that works for me might work for whoever asks for the advice. And this is something very interesting because I saw this on running content creator earlier today, where she replied to a question that was asking her about like some tips about like fitness and health and all that stuff. And she's like, that I like that she mentioned how she doesn't really like saying what she does like explicitly, like what workouts she does, what she eats every day and all that stuff, because what works for her necessarily doesn't mean that's gonna work for everyone else. And it's sometimes it's rough because it's hard when like, you tell someone what works for you and then they're expecting the same exact results as you because, like it worked for you. When in reality, like you don't know how it's going to affect you. So it's already like a lot of pressure on whenever giving advice and all that stuff. And because even like when people ask me like, oh, like how can I start getting into running and stuff, and I'm like, it's honestly like, I'm gonna tell you what I did. I'm not saying you should do it. I did it because I'm very stupid. Pretty much what I did was like, I remember like 3 years ago, almost exactly 3 years ago, I just, like I was at home with the pandemic and stuff, and I was like, you know what? Let's just go on for a 10K. Oh, because I was watching anime. I was watching One Punch Man, and I remember the workout that he did in order to be like, the superhero. If you know what One Punch Man is, just like look it up. And okay, pretty much like he's a superhero that can literally kill anyone with just one punch. And like what he did was 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10K every day for I don't know how many years. But and I was like, oh, like, you know, with the pandemic, like gyms were closed and stuff, and you know, we couldn't leave our house and all that. So I was like, all right, I don't have a gym at home, so I'm just gonna do this workout. And I started with the running aspect, and yeah, I just, you know, embarked on a 10K with no prior running experience, and knowing that I had never passed the mile run in high school, but I still did it. And, you know, progressively that helped me kind of like get, kind of like figure out where I was in my running skills, I guess. And then obviously like I bumped it down to like, all right, let's be more realistic, and like progressively. I think I started with a 1K and then a 3K and then a 5K, and then I worked my way up until 10K. I think I did a 10K for the second time that year in December. Because my goal for the end of 2020 was to be able to run a 10K in under an hour, which I did. So yeah, you know, like I progressively worked my way up to like whatever distance I wanted to run. And then with my second year in running, 2021, that was, you know, me just like experimenting with like different types of runs and stuff, with that, you know, like just trying to get faster and stronger and everything. And then my third year in running. Wait, have I been running for 4 years now? I'm starting my fourth year, I think that's how it is. But yeah, in 2022, that's when I set the goal to run the half marathon in September of that year for my birthday. Wait, no, Jesus, that was in 2021. In 2021, my second year, when I started my second year of running, that's when I set my goal to do the first half marathon, which is this bad boy right here. And in that one, like I actually followed like a training plan and everything. And, you know, I followed to what worked for me with getting my schedule and everything. So I've like, you know, it's always kind of complicated to like, I can't, when people ask me like, oh, like, what do I do if I want to start running? Like, I can't give you like a training plan made by me, because the training plan I have I basically made it based on what I saw online and what I was reading online and from other, you know, coaches and other runners and stuff like that. So the stuff that works for me because I'm different from what they are. So, you know, like all I can really tell them, like I feel like the basics that works for everyone is rest is important, sleep is important, your eating habits are important, and your consistency in running, and, you know, progressively increasing, never going like, all right, I'm training for a half marathon, so I'm just gonna, with no prior running experience, I'm just gonna go out and run 6 miles and then like start like that. Like your body will just go into shock eventually, and then you'll just like get injured. So yeah, so, you know, like that was a massive tangent, but I was talking about being a motivational speaker. So, you know, when they asked me, because it was for an event back in Bradley for engineers, and originally like the event was going to be a panel and I was going to be one of the panelists. So, you know, I was expecting to like go there, answer some questions, be the comic relief of the panel, right? Because this is, you know, like I always like to make jokes and keep it lighthearted, not too serious, but, you know, like you can still learn something. So on Friday when I was at work, which by the way, the event wasn't Friday, on Friday, like 10 minutes before I left the office, I get a call from the people from the event, and they're like, hey, I know this is last minute, but would you mind being the keynote speaker for tonight? Like just give some motivational words for the attendees and everything. And just because like something happened and like, with the scheduling and stuff, and like we were wondering if you could be our keynote speaker. And I was like, my immediate reaction, like without thinking, I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And then they were like, oh, awesome, like blah, 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 blah. And like, like figured like logistics and stuff like that. And then once the call ended, I'm like, why did I say yes? Like, part of me knows why I said yes, because I'm like, I want to help them out, because, if you didn't know this about me, wait, oh my God, I hate wearing long sleeves. If you didn't know this about me, I used to be a student org leader, and it's very hard to run an organization and an event and like, have people like cancel last minute, right? So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna be like that. If I can, I'm gonna make it. So like, I was like, I'll help them out. It's the least I could do. So then like the entire time, like on my drive home, which is like 5 minutes, I was like trying to think like, okay, like what are we gonna talk about? Because like, yeah, like my experience in school was very unique, because like an international student coming to the States at 17, blah 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 blah, like my experience being different from everyone else's, like all of the struggle and all that stuff. And then I was like, okay, I need to take a shower because I need to think, because I've realized that all of my greatest ideas come when I'm in the shower, which honestly, I had to put like a whiteboard on my shower just to like write ideas for the podcast, because like literally the best bits and cold opens, I come up with them in the shower, and you never see them here because I never write them down. And so like when I was in the shower, I was like, thinking like, okay, like I need to motivate them and like give them something meaningful that they can take away without me like over explaining something. And I was like, okay, like what am I going to talk about? And my first thing that came to mind obviously was running, because like that's the main thing that I do. And I was like, okay, but I still need to like link it to what school is. So like I try to make like this analogy about, like feeling lost, but also like trying to live in the moment and not focus too far ahead. And then like, using the interval stuff. Like, I don't know if I said it before here, but like, life is like running intervals where you can't get focused on like the 10th interval when you're on interval 2, because you're going to lose focus and you're going to underperform in interval 2 when, like there's no point in focusing too far ahead when you have other stuff going on at the moment, because then your focus will just like, you will lose focus on like the things that matter in the moment. I'm not saying like, oh, don't worry about the future, like it'll come when it comes. Like, no, like it's good to have like a plan, but understand that everything is subject to change, and learning to adapt and all that stuff, because like that's one of the main things that I've learned as an adult, and that I learned just in my 4 years in school. So I kind of like, that's what like I was coming with. And then on my drive over there, I kind of like tried to like make more of like a structure, but I was like, honestly, I'm just gonna be myself. I'm gonna treat it like stand up without the comedy, but just like standing up there, and trying to keep it lighthearted and funny, and hoping that they can get something out of it. And honestly, like I feel like I did really good, considering I knew with like 2 hours prior to the event And definitely like having the podcast has helped a lot with like my public speaking, because I feel a lot more comfortable and I know how to better elaborate what I'm thinking and what I want to say and all that stuff. And afterwards, I was talking to some of the people in the event, and they were like, "Oh, like it was pretty funny," like, and I also feel like I learned a lot, blah 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 blah. So I'm like, okay, good. That's what I was going for. So afterwards, I had to leave early because we had to leave for Champagne. Be a little bit before 5 in the morning so that we could get to the starting line with enough time, because it was like an hour and a half long drive. So I went to my friend's place pretty early, and then we got ready. Sorry, because they were also coming with me. So I was like, I like forced them to go to bed early. So I was like, okay, we gotta wake up early tomorrow so that we can drive to Champagne in time, because I'm like, I'm very stressed, so y'all better cooperate. And like the morning of, it was perfect. Everything went according to plan. The drive to Champagne was honestly kind of very peaceful, because it was so early in the morning that no cars were on the highway, so it was just perfect. I was like, okay, so far everything's going according to plan. We're doing great. And then we made it to Champagne. I met up with my coworkers, two of my coworkers that were also running, and I'm afraid that I came off as an asshole, because when I get into like my running mentality, I can only talk to like people that I like know very well, because like I'm like trying to like remove my stress. And like, yeah, I know them, like my coworkers, but I don't know them in like the same way that my best friends know me. Because like we've had, with one of them, I've had more interactions than the other. And like I know what it's like to run your first race, and I know how stressful it is. So I'm like, okay, like I don't know how they handle stress and all that. So I don't want to like be like, yo, like, are you ready for today? Are you ready to kill it? Because like I can't do that. If like people do that to me, I hate it. So I'm like, okay, like I'm just gonna treat them how I'd like to be treated in a stressful situation, and it's just like be with my group of people, and then I know I'll see them afterwards, and like we'll celebrate and everything. So I was with my friends and everything, just trying to like amp myself up and everything. And then my original plan was just to like go in, have fun, enjoy the race, and then because my original plan was to run a half marathon in June, not April. So I've been training to do one in a month from May 4th. So, which was the Chicago 13.1 from Bank of America. That was my original plan, but I was too late and it was full by the time I tried applying. So I was like, okay, like it's fine. Like I'll just find another half marathon. It's fine. And then I found out about this 2 weeks ago, I think. But anyway, so my plan was just like, okay, I haven't really trained that much. I know I'm feeling a lot stronger and like a lot faster than before. But I'm just gonna enjoy it, just like do it for funsies. So when we were at the starting line with my friends, we were just like chatting, and then I was like, should I go for my personal record? Like, I think I can do it. I mean, so my first half marathon, the time was 2 hours and 9 minutes. My second was 2 hours and 15 minutes because I was injured. And then when I did my full marathon, my half marathon time was 2 hours and 2 minutes. So when I was talking to them, I was like, I mean, if I'm going to go for like a personal record, I'm going to try and aim for sub 2 hours. But I guess like my realistic goal would be anything under 2:30, I'll take it. Because, like not training that often and all that stuff. Like I hadn't been training for that long since like I got injured. So, um, it ended up being I was aiming for a sub 2 hour, but I was gonna be happy with a sub 2:30. So I'm at the starting line, and I set up my watch to like help me keep track of like how many minutes I'm ahead of my goal. And they, like the first time that I look at my watch, I look down and I see like there's like a darker silhouette and then like a lighter silhouette, and I was like, this is so weird, but whatever. So like I get to the starting line, and like the race starts and everything, and as I look down at my watch, I noticed that the whole thing with the silhouettes is like you're the darker silhouette, and then the lighter one is the like your the time you're trying to beat. So I was like, oh, like this is so cool. Like, it's like a ghost is following you. So that kind of helped me like not think about like, oh, I gotta beat this time, blah blah blah. I took it like a video game. When if you've ever played Mario Kart and you've tried to do a time trial, you see like the shadow or like a ghost like following you. That's how I took it. I've pictured Louisiana Marathon Javi running behind me, because I started this race way too fast. I think my first mile I did it in like 8:31, which was way too fast, because I was like, okay, like I'm definitely way too in my head right now. I need to slow down. And as much as I tried slowing down, I could only either go faster or keep it at the same pace. So I was like, no, like I need to slow down to at least like an 8:40 pace for a few miles, or I'm going to crash, and then it's going to be even more discouraging to me. So the entire time, like I just felt like I was going extremely fast, and I kind of like I was worried that going as fast as I was going for like the first few miles, it was just gonna have like a terrible, terrible, terrible outcome for the second half. But I was like, no, like we got this. So I was like, I'm fine if I have negative splits, meaning that, no, wait, how is it? I'm fine if like some splits are like I'm going slower than others, but I want to have more negative splits. Is that how it is? I want to have more splits that show that I was going faster at the end, especially because like that's when you're like, oh, like here I was very tired, but look at how fast I was going compared to the beginning when I was fresh and everything was fine, right? So overall, like the entire half marathon, I felt really good. Also, when I was looking to sign up for this race, I was reading that they discouraged earbuds at the race. So that to me kind of like made me think like I can try going for a personal record, but like I've never really like trained that much without earbuds, and I'm not part of the elite runners, like can do, like for example, the person that won this half marathon did it in like an hour and 5 minutes. Like I can never do that, like not yet at least. So I was like I still took my earbuds just in case, because I wasn't sure if like that was like a rule, like they were enforcing like no earbuds. But then like when I got there, like I saw everyone was wearing them, so I'm like, okay, like I'll at least use the earbuds, because with the earbuds I can hear like my splits on like whenever I cross like a certain mile marker, like from my watch, it's connected, because like my watch connected to my phone, so like my phone's connected to my earbuds, so like I can hear like mile 1 8:31, and then like like that. So I'll at least use it for that. And then I was like, you know what, let me do the guided run. I'm using the earbuds, might as well use the guided run from Nike. So I did that, and then like I put my music, and like I was laser focused. Like if you look at the pictures from the race, there are a few pictures from the very early stages of the race, and you can look at my face and I'm just like serious, like laser focused, no nerves whatsoever. I'm just like I'm in it to win it, not the race, but just I'm trying to beat my previous self. Because like I never race against someone. If anything, like I race against my old version of me from like a previous race. I don't like competing against other racers against me, because if anything, I race with them to, like if something happens to them, I'm gonna try and help them out. I think it was in the Louisiana marathon, a guy was like cramping up, and like I offered him gels, and like they like said like, oh, shut the fuck up, and I'm like, okay bitch, fuck you. So like I was like, I just left. So I don't want to be like that type of person that just like feels like I'm competing against other people. Is more of like competing with them, like we're here to build the running community and not have it be as toxic as a lot of people think it is. So that's why I was like, like just be on the lookout for all that stuff. And then like I think the hardest part of the race was after. Okay, so in two instances I ran across like my friends that went to the race with us. The first group, I don't remember what mile marker it was, but that was very confusing because one of them had a sign that said, "This is for Javi. This one's for Javi." And I was like, "Oh, no way. There's another guy named Javi here." I don't run with my glasses. And I was like, they were on the left and I was on the far right. And I was coming like, I read the sign like from a few meters away. And then like I look closer and I'm like, oh, it's them. So I was like, yeah, let's go. And then like they pull out like a sign that says like, oh, hit me and like to get a boost or something like that. So like I went back, ran just to hit the poster because I'm like, okay, they're here cheering me on. Like I'm not gonna be just like, I'm in race mode. Like don't bother me. Because honestly, like they're very cool people, and they made this race very memorable because it's the first race that I've had people supporting me at different mile markers. Obviously, it's the race that has had the most people there, like with like my group, I guess. I'm okay. I don't want you to take it like, oh, like, well, Javi, I went to your first race. Blah, blah, blah. I'm thankful for that, but obviously, like, it's a different thing seeing your friends at different mile markers. And the Louisiana Marathon is a whole different thing. She knows she was there. I'm very thankful for that. So, like, don't get it twisted. That race in itself already has a special place, but this one, it was different because like I feel like this was like the first race that I actually raced, which I shouldn't have raced for all 13.1 miles. Probably should have gone for like 60%, maybe 70% of it, but I went full gear from the very beginning, and trust me, my legs are feeling it right now, like very much. Like, you know how many takes it took me to do that cold open you just saw like a few minutes ago? It took me 4 takes because I was cramping up. My foot would slip, or I would stop. I would forget to hit record. So yeah. But anyway, then like going back to like the seeing people at different mile markers, then at around mile 7, my 2 best friends were there. And when I saw them, I was like, yo, I'm 4 minutes ahead my best time. We're going to do this. And I was like so pumped. And then, so at mile 6, that was probably when I kind of went into like this dark place, because I'm like, oh my god, I'm just halfway through. I'm only 2 minutes ahead of my best time, and if I like lose the lead that I have, and like I'm starting to play catch up, I won't be able to do it. And I knew, like, knowing myself, I knew I was gonna get into my head, and then I was just gonna crash. So I was like, all right, Javi, as soon as we hit and start the 7th mile, we're gonna pick it back up, and we're gonna gain time. And yeah, so then when I ran, I saw my friends that I had gained 2 whole minutes, and then I think, Jesus, I think at mile 10, I had 5 minutes ahead, and then mile 11, I actually lost a minute there. So then I was like, okay, we got to pick it up. Like, no, we only 2 more miles left. We got to give everything we have right now. So I ended up picking up 3 more minutes. So by the time I, crossed the finish line, because my personal best for a half marathon, not for the distance, not like the actual race, was 2 hours and 2 minutes. And, like I said at the beginning, I ended up doing an hour and 55 minutes. But it was pretty funny because when we entered, so the way that the race was set up was that we ran through Champaign, and then we entered U of I campus, and then the race ended at their stadium, which is massive. Well, I haven't really been to that many college football stadiums, and this was pretty big. And I was like expecting, like, honestly, I don't know what I was expecting, but when we ran through campus, like, I knew, like, okay, like, once I just get into that stadium, we're going pedal to the metal, full speed, everything we got. And then like I start going into the stadium, and then I see like the people there, and like that just gives me energy, because there's still people on the field, like other people that have already finished, and like they had like some stuff, like if you like needed like physical and medical attention, so that just like gave me energy. And then I look at the time right beneath the finish line banner or whatever. It said 1 hour 58 minutes and like 40 seconds. So I was like, okay, we gotta do it. And then as I'm starting like sprint going faster, it's like 1 hour 59 minutes, and I'm like, okay, we're almost there. If needed, I'll dive through the finish line just to make sure that I was under 2 hours. And because like I knew that according to my watch, I had a few minutes ahead, but I don't know why my brain just like was like, no, your watch is wrong, follow this, look at the clock over there, knowing that I was in like Corral E, I think, and we left the starting line 4 minutes after the first corral. So I was like, okay, because like that clock goes with the when the race first starts. So I was just like, we just gotta make sure that we cross it in time. And yeah, when I crossed it, it was honestly like a lot of emotions. I didn't cry. I thought I was gonna cry. I cried, I think, at like mile 12, because I was like, I'm actually gonna do this. Like, I have 6 minutes of advantage, and I'm gonna do it. Like, because I guess like it was an emotional moment, because all the stuff that I had to overcome pretty much since February, just to make it to it wasn't even like the training was hard, because like I wasn't even training to do one right now, but just like all of like the life struggles, you know, that just made it like this accomplishment just like meant so much because of all the stuff that had happened in the months prior. And yeah, because like obviously, like, you know, if I were to compare the build up to the marathon, comparing it to the build up to this race, there's, you know, completely different. Like when I started training for the marathon, it was August of 2022, and this one for I wasn't even training for this race. It was for a completely different race, but it was more of like, I guess, the training for life that kind of like made it meaningful, because it's just, I feel like I really needed this win, and that's why I just like felt so overwhelmed with emotion, because I was like, all the stuff that I had to overcome in February, March, you know, halfway of April, like, because if I were to look back to February and March, those were, I had never felt that rock bottom in a while. Like, I want to say probably since summer of 2022, when I first moved here, because, you know, like the transition. But it was just such a good experience, and, you know, seeing all the people there at the finish line and just like celebrating with them, it just made it very special. And I just, I don't know, like, I just felt so happy. Like, I would talk to my friends and I'm like, bro, I can't believe I did it. Like, like, what, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I was just in such a bad place mentally, physically, emotionally, and now I'm here. Like, I never felt this good about my life and like everything that I have going on for me and everything. And it just like really, really, like, it was like the cherry on top with everything. Because honestly, April was a very good month, and everything leading up to the race, just, and everything that happened during the race, after the race, before the race, it was just perfect. Because after the race, um my two best friends and me, you know, I'm not gonna use proper grammar, I'm tired, so excuse me. um we, and, you know, my coworkers and their friends, we went and grabbed breakfast. And obviously, you know, I don't know my coworkers that well, let alone their friend group, and my best friends don't know them at all. So I was like already like, okay, like, I hope it goes well, because I don't like people that, I don't like it when people that I care about, but they don't know each other. Like, it doesn't really like blend well. So I was just worried about that. But honestly, like, they're such great people. It was a lot of fun. You know, getting to interact with more people my age was pretty enjoyable, and just like talking about the race and like just getting to know them and like talking to them was pretty fun. And we went to the original Pancake House, and I guess one of the funniest things that happened was we were, so one of her friends that raced, she ordered chocolate milk, but like the smallest cup, and then someone else ordered the small cup, and I was like, can I get some chocolate milk, but like the biggest one? And then that led to the owner of the restaurant giving all of us free chocolate milk. So your boy had like 3 cups, like big glasses of chocolate milk. And it was honestly like that's kind of like the things that I wanted to experience with running, you know, just like celebrating with a lot of people, an accomplishment that not everyone is willing to do or to embark. Because yeah, it was my third half marathon, but the fact that you're running for an extended amount of time is impressive. And even if it's your first one and you don't do it like and this is just like the thing that I hate about running is just like it's so easy to compare yourself to other people. So like, even like me in my first half marathon, like I couldn't help but compare myself to like all of like the people that I would see on Instagram doing like, oh, like I did my first half marathon in like an hour and 50 minutes. And I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, cool. And here I am. Like I did it in 2 hours and 9 minutes. So I like that, it's easy for that to get to your head. So whenever like I see someone like it makes me just happy to see people wanting to try just a race, honestly, or just running in general, because like you don't need to run races to be a runner, or to be a successful runner or a good runner. Like you can literally, if you just like go out and run every day for 20 minutes, that's already, you're doing more than the average human being. So the fact that you're willing to go far beyond that and like, sign up for, I don't know, a 10K, a 5K, a half marathon, a marathon, like that's already impressive. And just like seeing that really makes me happy, because like running means a lot to me. And like, seeing people wanting to experience that and like go through like the struggle and like the mental battle that it races and like the training and everything just gives me a lot of joy. And like the community that you build and the people that you meet through running, even if maybe in this case like they're not running but they're there because of a running event, just made it very special. So it was kind of nice to interact with new people, because that's something that I do miss about school, is just how easy it is to interact with different people. Because where I live, I think obviously this is a far stretched. I might be the only 22-year-old here that I'm aware of. Because like the other only person that I know that is close to my age, he's in his mid-20s. So even then, like we're in different points in our lives, but like we still get along pretty good. But yeah, it's just like it's nice just like interact with different people, because I'm not someone that's just gonna go out of my way to talk to a random stranger. Like I'm more open to doing it if I'm like in an event and like it's a common interest, like a race. Because even like I did talk to a few people during the race, like beforehand, like asking them like, yo, like how are you feeling, like, because I really like that this race like had bibs for whoever was doing, like it was their first half marathon, kind of like it said like, oh, my first half marathon. So whenever like I'd see them like on the course and like they were like stopped and like looked discouraged, I'm like, hey, you got this, like keep going, you're almost done, kind of trying to like give them words of encouragement. Some of them I offered them gels and stuff like that. I think at one point, and this is just the Riz in me, I kind of started flirting with a girl, which it really wasn't flirting. I was just being a nice person. But if you would have seen it from the outside, you would have thought, oh, he's definitely flirting. I could see that she was struggling to take off her jacket because she was wearing 2 layers and she was wearing a hat. So I was like, hey, like, do you need some help? And she's like, yes, please. And like, like I, like slowed down, and then I think I held her undershirt so that she could take off her sweatshirt. And then like, because like I knew it was, she said that it was her first half marathon. So like, she didn't prepare properly for like the weather and all that stuff. Because it started off very cold, but then it got like somewhat warm. And I know how deceiving that can be. So like, I always like, whenever I dress for a race, I know I'm like getting ready for sweating consistently, being under the sun and stuff like that. So like you're never gonna see me running in a long sleeve with tights. I'm always gonna be running shorts and sleeveless shirt. So like I helped her out and everything, and just like that's the stuff about the running community. And like another instance, there was this one guy. He was he cramping up? I don't remember what it was, but like I kind of helped him out a little bit, because like races, like anything can happen and it's unexpected, like cramps and stuff like that. They come when you least expect it. Luckily and thankfully, knock on wood, I've gotten a cramp on a race or anything. The only thing that happened this time was I rolled my ankle because there was a massive pothole and I didn't see it. But other than that, it was fine. But yeah, just like helping out and like seeing people embark on running journeys I love seeing that. And that's what, like, I like helping people, like, knowing that it was like their first half marathon, because depending on how your first experience goes in a race determines if you want to do it again. So I was like, trying to show them like that the running community is actually not toxic, and like, there's people out there that are willing to help you out while you're running and like during the race and everything. Like, it's not, competitive and like, oh, I'm trying to beat you, that type of stuff. So yeah, because honestly, the only reason I continued doing races to this day was because my very first half marathon, it was just an amazing feeling, and like it was a feeling that I wanted to replicate as much as possible, no matter the distance. If it was a 10K, a 5K, a marathon, half marathon, like I just wanted to relive that moment. And yeah, and going back to the flirting during the race, that wasn't the flirting that I did actually. And this was pretty like baller of me. There were a lot of, I think this was the first race that was a lot of people my age or like contemporary. So when I'd see like someone like, because there was like, we obviously ran through the campus, like the houses and stuff like that. So like I would see like a chick like checking me out, and I'd be like, call me, even though my number was nowhere in my bib or anything like that. So I think next time I'll either put my phone number, because like this race on the bib, it had my name because you could pick what to put there. But my other option was to check out Pretty Decent on Spotify, but it was too long. And then next time I'm actually going to put my phone number, or I might put my phone number on my shirt and be like, yo, call me. Nah, I'm kidding. I don't have that much game. I didn't flirt with anyone. I'm a little bitch. I will never do that. I'm just joking. But if I wouldn't have beaten the time, like the record that I set myself out to beat, I would have said like, oh, like I got distracted. I was flirting with some girls, whatever. Just like got riz. But yeah, like the pictures came back. I that's what I wanted to mention. So like in the pictures, I mentioned that I looked like serious, but there's one picture that my legs just look amazing, and that's just like fuels me to keep going, because I'm like, boy, because like I might put the picture. It's just like my right leg just like looks beautiful as I'm crossing the finish line, which is like makes it even better. But yeah, hopefully I put the picture of how I looked at the beginning of the race, like serious and everything. But yeah, Um, Before I wrap it up, I just have to thank, obviously you guys for tuning in and watching and listening. My friends who went with me to Champagne and let me stay in their apartment. My coworkers who told me about the race, because if it weren't for them, I wouldn't have been able to beat and set a new personal record. Um, my coworkers' friends, which I guess are my friends now, um, also to them, because it was nice, having more people supporting you. That's always, I know that sounds very selfish, but it's always nice to have, you know, a lot of people supporting you in something that you really enjoy, and it's very meaningful to you. And I gotta give a shout out to 2020 Javi, because if it weren't for him, none of this would be. I don't know where I'd be. I don't think I would be running at all. So shout out to him. Shout out to all the girls that broke my heart, because if it weren't for you, I wouldn't be where I am right now. Because your boy is now a sub-2-hour half marathoner, baby. Let's go. Yes, I do use running to cope with my heartbreaks, because who doesn't? Because that means we run away from my problems, because we can't afford therapy. It is a green flag though that I want to go to therapy. I just can't afford it because your boy's broke. But hey, that's how life is. But anyway, I'm going crazy because it's almost 11 p.m. and I'm tired and I need to get a bed. So, without any further ado, like always, before the actual sign off, follow the podcast on Instagram at Pretty Decent Pod. Follow the podcast on Spotify, Pretty Decent with Javier Sierra. Check out the YouTube channel, Pretty Decent with Javier Sierra. Subscribe. Turn the bell notification on. Follow me on Instagram at Javi_Sierra. And yeah, like always, it's my honor. It's always my pleasure. And honestly, I'm kind of impressed that I've done 3 episodes in a row, because I've been feeling very creative lately. So anyway, I'll see you guys real soon, and take care. Have a great week. Perhaps start running, even if it's for 10 minutes. Anyway, I'll see you guys real soon. Take care. Peace.